Yo, first smoke of the day. Welcome back. Episode 12. We're back again. Pat Gotch here, your host. My co-host, Blackleaf. What's poppin', man?
What up, bro?
How you doing?
Big guest.
Big guest in the building. Big smoke in the building. I'll be surprised. I started cracking these jars and I was taken back. I was like, okay, my man's crazy with some fucking fire right here.
I mean, every single one of them.
We got a special guest in the building. Our band Squints in the building. What's up, big dog?
Yo, what up? Thanks for having me,
doing?
guys.
Absolutely. You already know. Appreciate you rolling up. And you came with some fire.
Yeah, I brought I mean, it's all about timing. So I just, luckily we had a rec room come down that was really nice and fresh, but they had, multiple flavors in it, which is always good too,
You can tell it's stinking.
You can tell it's fresh.
Yeah.
Right when I was cracking all the jars, I'm like,
yeah, it just got back from R&D testing. So it's ready to go hit the shelves. So
I like the packaging too, man. I like the colors are different. The logo's different. Like the whole setup, it catches your eye immediately. Even from across the table now, the first thing I look at is that.
A buddy of mine from Dallas did that packaging.
Oh, dope.
I had the logo done by somebody else and the logo popped, but he put the like pinkish fuchsia to it. And then it really pops on a Mylar.
Yeah, that's going to be dope on a bag.
Yeah, I have Mylars too. This was we were running like 7-gram bags. So I had to do an eighth drop for one of our first rec drops. And so I just grabbed jars real quick, which are fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Yeah.
It's just too many stickers, bro. I'm cool on that shit. It doesn't really do it for me from the packaging standpoint. Anytime I got to touch something like 7 times to give it to somebody is like just
straight up
a little much.
It's a lot different than it used to be in a baggie, right?
Yeah, and I mean like, and a Mylar is like, you put a metric tag on it and fucking seal it, and it's out the door. It's not that.
Yeah,
and try carrying them, bro.
Yeah.
Dropping off an order.
You're juggling.
Like you guys got a wheelbarrow or something for this shit. This is crazy.
We would do little shows and we go to like Chalice Festival or stuff like that. And like we would bring a fucking dolly and make multiple trips. And then we'd have like a vendor over there would be like, come and grab a bunch of jars because all glass jars.
Yeah.
Heavy as fuck. Even just the empty jars. Like you got to have a pallet lift or a forklift or something. Get that in. But the vendors would come by and they'd be like, hey, can we borrow your dolly? And they would. You're just wheeling it out.
I remember wheeling people out dollies, full stack dolly. Like, yeah, just keep the dolly, bro. It's on the house.
Yeah.
Like 100%. So, I mean, let's talk about throwback, bro. What was the first thing you smoked ever? Was it Reggie? Was it fire? What were you looking at first time?
Oh shit. Yeah. It was swag straight up, bro. And
same here.
Yeah. We had these dudes that lived in our apartment building, and they sold $5 Garcia Vega blunts.
Oh, I love that.
They sold $5 sacks of Reggie, and that was our shit. So it depended on if you were smoking out of a bong or we were grabbing a little Garcia Vega seed popping, trying not to get hit with a little spark and shit.
I love a Garcia Vega.
Yeah, I guess Chronic came around. That's like fuck, bro.
Where were
13, 14, 15 in the valley here.
You were so in the valley smoking Reggie.
Yeah. I mean, then Chronic hadn't really the BC shit hadn't hit here yet. And we were too young to have anything that was like from Humboldt or anything good at that time. So
yeah.
The indoor scene hadn't started in LA yet. So I was 20 probably when Bubba and Kush started hitting LA in the valley and that area, when Kenji and those fools were throwing up houses and Josh and them. So
OGs.
Yeah. Cool as fuck.
How old were you when you first?
The first time I smoked Kush, I was probably like 19-ish. I've been medical since 2001. So
that's dope.
I was around that, but I was probably about 19 when it started coming around.
Yeah. So you waited for the most part. Or the first time you ever smoked?
The first time I smoked.
Yeah.
Oh, I was 12 years old.
Oh man.
I was in 7th grade.
You know what? General age is like 7th, 8th grade for everybody.
I was on the quad at our school with this chick that I hung out with, and it brought some little marble pipe, and we smoked out of her some swag out of a marble pipe on this quad. Actually, that turned out, that was a bad story. Actually, I ended up getting busted by my parents like on some dumb shit.
First time?
No, it wasn't the first time. Okay. I had been smoking with her, and this is back when we had like answering machines and shit like that,
Yeah. So, they're hitting your beeper up.
So no, I was on the phone with her, I guess, and I guess my stepdad had picked up the line and fucking heard what I was talking about. And this fool turned he recorded me, turned the answering machine on and recorded me while I'm like talking to this chick and thinking I'm cool, telling her to bring the pipe to school and all this shit.
Wow. That's some gangster shit.
Yeah.
Yo.
This fool recorded me like a fucking cop. And
does it sound like anybody?
He came in the room and shit and he was like, yo, so what were you talking about? So-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, man, I have no idea what you're talking about, bro. Like, no idea, right? And he's just like, keeps on it about me. And I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck does this dude know? And of course, like, you're a kid, you're an idiot, bro. Like, I used to put fucking water back in my parents' vodka bottles. Like, they wouldn't figure that one out.
Same shit.
All the things when you're an adult that you're like, I can't believe how fucking stupid I could have been.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, shit, we don't know what alcohol tastes like. We don't know that they're not going to know that.
Yeah.
That's fucking watered down vodka in their vodka bottle.
Straight up. And the real alcoholic, like parents and shit, probably didn't even notice because they were just guzzling through.
Yeah, that was always my thing too. Is like my mom only went to the hard stuff after she was out of beer, couldn't buy anymore. So I figured, fuck it. She was probably drunk by then. I was doing her a favor.
Straight up.
Like, this is better. You're better off, I promise.
Like wake up feeling good the next day.
Yeah, bro.
Feeling refreshed
Crazy
and shit.
That's crazy growing up in LA too, though. I mean, that's a whole other scene. Most people are other places. So, I mean, when the Bubba, it was probably fresh, the Bubba you were seeing straight from houses.
Straight from the house, straight from Ken the Cushman from Grumpy Dog.
Man,
That's,
crazy.
Shout out Oregon Kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dude,
dope.
Banana OG. I know he found that. That's a OG guy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know that about the whole thing. I think Josh has talked about it a little bit, but if Grumpy didn't fucking keep that shit around, nobody would even know what OG or any of that shit was, bro.
How crazy would that be? It's like a myth. It'd be something you used to hear about, like a lot of other strains, like blueberry.
Yeah, he really kept that shit alive. So
damn, dude.
that was back when they would like charge you $400 or $500 for an ounce of Bubba, and Ken was probably smoking your shit on the way to your crib too, dog.
Yeah.
Straight
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Bag would
out
come
the
like
pipe, out straight out your bag, full like just, and you'd be like, you want it or not? Like,
Yeah. Yep. No prorate. Yeah.
no,
Fuck,
they ain't
dude.
returning this shit.
Were you always like pro cannabis? Like you were always pretty out with it, or did you kind of keep it behind the scenes like most people?
nah, I mean,
Like people around you knew that you
yeah,
smoked.
everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the Cypress Hill era, so it's like I think I was in,
Being
like
out
middle
here.
school when like, Insane in the Brain and all that shit dropped. So
In
that
Cali,
was like our
too.
culture, you know what I mean? Like that kind of that vibe. But yeah, I mean, it got more like readily available in the 2000s. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. And then, man, like about what? It's got to be about over a year ago, I saw a badass grower that I follow, Foreign, starting to post you up, and you and him started working together on projects, going deep on some like research and development for what we're seeing in front of us now. How long ago was that you guys started playing around together?
We've known each other for years. He
Oh,
used
okay.
to, they would come in and bring us work into Green Dragon back then. So like we've been around each other for a long time. I managed that shop, so I knew everybody on the north side of the city obviously was bringing us work or getting work from us.
Great
So,
store. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know all that side, like the LA side of things, like
You basically got to see the full landscape of everything and then basically choose who you wanted to work with or, become friends with and kind of go through that or what?
Yeah, I mean, you know how this shit is.
Yeah. Or organic relationships is the best.
Yeah, we've always been cool. We just started working together because it made sense.
Yeah.
I needed help with some things and it worked out for them. And that's what it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And it's dope because now we get to smoke fucking fire. Like in a bunch of different stuff than what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, exactly. I just lit up this Wendy right here. Talk to me about her.
So Wendy's new.
Fire.
That's going to be my new rec strain. Obviously, Squints and Wendy goes well together. That's why I called her Wendy. But she was we popped some beans and she's the only pheno that made it. And I put like 8 plants in a room of her just to see how she would do. And it was whatever. And then I kept those just to the smoker. And then I just noticed myself that she had got old and it had been like a month later. And I just found myself kept going back into that bag. Like I probably have a closet full of just like random shit that's just sitting, you know what I mean? Like what I would think is a holy grail back in the day, but now it's just like R&D of me just testing shit and then throwing it somewhere and giving it to somebody later or something.
Yeah.
Basically what happens. So
That's because the fresher the better. You already know when it starts getting older, you're like, all
just
right.
I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah,
like,
straight up.
We're privileged. Not only are we in LA, but you're in the business, you're able to smoke what you want kind of type of deal, So
Yeah.
But I kept going back to Wendy. Like I kept just like opening her up and smoking her. And then it was getting down to where like I had like crumbs of like small nugs and I was still like rolling that shit up over like fresh, like bomb ass gelato lineage shit. And was like, oh, okay, so she's cool then. I gotta put her in another room and see how I like her. And then, yeah, I'm sold, bro. She's pretty.
This one's different, man.
That's what it is.
All the
like,
terp profiles that I smelled out of each one of your jars, it's such a different lane than anything else I'm really seeing out here.
People are
This is like, this is crazy. Yeah, this is I mean, it definitely tastes like a Runs Cross, something like lemon cherry, something like
I've never had the lemon cherry
funky.
runs.
And
what do you think?
I love a good lemon cherry.
She kind of has an OG vibe, but obviously super candy terps on the back end.
Super candy for sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Candy gas is what we're seeing. Like a lot of
Candy
people
gas,
go after, and like different variations, and like
You can go from 90-10 to 90-10 the other way. You know?
we were talking about it before we got on here, and we were how LA Family Farm said they want to make green weed good again or something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of you had mentioned something about green weed too, and like this is some fresh fire right here.
Yeah, I've been talking to like Brandon from Third Gen and like a lot of these guys from up north. And even so, like I feel like a lot of the LA guys have been talking about also that like obviously we're breeding into a corner and there's a lot of like super inbred, for lack of a better word, shit going on because we're just you know
hype versus hype.
And I get it, bro. Like, you know,
best versus the best, best versus the best.
And money rules all in the indoor scene, and it's always going to, because the shit costs money to work. You know,
got to be able to get that price.
It just, that's what drives it, you know. But
it's tough because that's what the customers want. So it's this battle.
Of course,
you know, it's like, oh.
And then at the same time, it's like things start to get stale though. And I think we're in a transitional period, especially in the rec market right now, where you're noticing like shit looks great and people are hitting crazy numbers and technology is going somewhere, but me pulling a Mylar off the shelf and ripping it open and being shocked isn't happening really.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Not like super shocked by anything that's going on. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, we're from LA, so we have this like OG Kush background. And so a lot of shit don't get us high like that. It just doesn't have an effect because we're used to
gasoline.
22 to 27% fucking weed that just kicks your ass every time consistently for years.
Gives you a fucking panic attack.
Give you a fucking panic attack.
I don't really fuck with OG. Straight up. Like I'll fuck with some OG, but there's someone like he would grow some presidential Kush and shit. And I'm like, I'm not. It would be the last thing left. I'm like, I'm good because it gets a hold of your chest.
I ain't even trying to go there
I would put it in. We would be going to a concert and I would sprinkle a little Prez in with other things.
Yeah.
And we'd be passing joints around the cars, or, you know, and he'd be like, oh man, my fucking chest is tightening up.
Yeah.
Oh man. And he'd be like, you put some Prez in there, you know? And then we'd go through this whole thing where it was like, you know, and it's that some of those heavy indicas, man, if you're not ready to get on the roller coaster and take the ride, you know, if you fight it, it will fight you. You know,
it's a panic attack waiting to happen. I remember I was overseas in London actually, and my boy had some OG and brought some, and we were over there smoking it, and we're in the cab, and like my tolerance had went down a lot because we were over there for like a week. You know, it was like a 3-week Euro trip, so this was like the first weekend. We weren't really smoking a lot. Big group brought some fresh OG, and we smoked it and got in the cab, and like I didn't have any water or anything like that, and I got in there and it's just like. Start sweating and shit, like in my seat. I was like, holy fuck. Every time I hit the OG, I remember like, man, this it'll fuck you up if you're not ready for it, straight up.
I mean, it still fucks you up even when you are ready for it. I've been smoking the shit for years and it'll catch me on a bad day. Most of the times it makes me want to go do push-ups. You know what I'm saying? So like it makes me want to have that.
Fuck.
All right, so I managed the big shop. We're busy as fuck. You see what is going on now. So imagine 15 days. It was
crazy.
Popping. So, and when I say I managed, like I literally had my hands in everything and every decision that was going on in a day-to-day basis, from like managing everybody. You know
Ingoing, outgoing, everything.
I'm opening and walking through and like handling anything that could be going on any given day.
And that place always had a decent sized grow. So that's a whole other aspect.
Yeah. We had 250 lights back then. It was like, it was a pretty big deal to have that on site at a 215 shop.
Hell yeah.
Mad patients,
yeah, straight up.
So, I mean, we would dab there a lot because it's easier to dab and do whatever. So, but dabs and OG, they kind of have a similar vibe to them. And that's what you're talking about, the anxiousness and shit. Luckily, like if I had so much shit going on that I got used to running around like a little lab rat in weed heaven, like going from to project, the patients to this, to whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's the vibe it gives me.
Yeah, there was no sitting back.
Push-ups or do some shit. It gives me like, I'm lit, bro. Don't get me wrong, but my energy is like at least going in a good direction.
Yeah, I guess
if it goes the other way, that shit, it ain't for everybody. People know, you know what I mean?
Like you say, you got to be busy and doing shit, because I can hit some OG if I got a lot going on.
Yeah, that shit'll put you in your feelings in a second, bro.
You get in your head?
Oh yeah, bro.
That?
Especially you were in a foreign place, like a lot going on, and
we're driving opposite sides of the opposite.
No AC.
Yeah.
Steering on the other end. I'm already like,
first question, you're like, is it hot in here? That's when you know shit's starting to go sideways.
You know how it is, the little car whipping around.
Hell yeah.
Lanes. You're like, woo, I was sweating. It was crazy.
Bro, I'll never forget the first time we smoked Girl Scout cookies out here. And one of my buddies had moved out here from Florida and had grown some like just straight gooey Girl Scout. Like
2012.
Yeah, about 2012. And we're driving up the hill smoking this blunt. We had already been smoking like for 2 days. We're smoking, and the sun got brighter. The fucking the music got louder. Like everything started to get enhanced, like to the point where I was just like, God, this is fire ass herb, bro. I've been chasing that same Girl Scout cut or that like
farm cut is my favorite. It's my favorite cannabis ever made.
Yeah,
dude. We used to think it was a myth in the East Coast.
Yeah, no, we ran the PCG cut of cookies at the shop, and then I took it from there when I was running another shop and started growing it, and then we put it back on the shelf at Green Dragon as Squints cookies, and it's still like that was out of like single-ended HPS rooms, and it's like the most fire shit I've ever. I've like that shit was bomb as fuck, bro. I love that cut. I love everything about it, and it started the exotic wave really, because what we're on right now is the remnants of that. Going in that direction, you know what I mean?
100%.
Which is really
straight
cool.
up. It's like that was purple gas.
Yeah, bro, but not like
just
not like the TDP purples. That that taste. That's what people are chasing in gelato. Is that really though? It ain't even the gelato that we're chasing. You know?
Yeah.
That cookie cut is what the one that you're after.
I saw like
what the hell happened to Forum cookies?
It's still around. There's some people still doing it.
I feel like it's not like it used to be.
Shitty little plant. And she doesn't yield.
There you go. That's the same reason why everyone has Skittles and no one grows it. But like everyone has access to Skittles at this point. If you want it, you can probably get it. You know, if you have some money in your pocket. Why doesn't everyone grow it?
Because most people can't sell it.
And it's very difficult to grow. It's like, even for me, it's a finicky chick. So even grown well, you're like, it looks okay. It smells good though.
And the profile on her is like, it's hard to make it not look like depth.
That's what I'm smoking now. And I didn't give you that because it's that ugly. And I was like, I'm giving you Fruity Pebbles.
I've seen you post some of your Skittles before.
Yeah.
And I think Glenn from the Dragon was talking about it, like how yours look much better than they could ever get the shit to look. And so I remember when we got the cut and started trying to run her, and
I have their cut.
We put her in a room, and Manny, the first time seeing her, he's like, fuck that bitch. We ain't never putting that in a fucking green in a room again. You know what I'm saying?
Like, it looks like what happened to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's one of those, she's not a looker. You know what I mean?
Bro, I have their cut and I run it, and it's funny. I'll put everyone onto a secret. Like, yeah, it's a 12 light room, and I picked 3 nugs to take a picture of. Those are the best 3 nugs in the whole room. So that's what I post,
knowing that, I was still impressed.
Yeah.
And that in itself is Skittles.
It's difficult. I just harvested some and it just came out okay. You know, it was an attempt.
I have very few crosses with her that I'm impressed with.
Yes. You got to find something that's 90-10 or 80-20, 80 leaning on whatever you're crossing it with to give you the looks and the smell. And then just that 10,
throw that
20.
terp in there.
Yep.
But like that ugly orange shit that goes on, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just not appealing.
I know. Yeah, I think people will breed it out of it. I'm seeing some stuff now, some offshoots. Like, I mean, Team 10 is killing it with their crosses. Yeah. You know?
I mean,
the people are definitely
in the pudding, dog.
Yeah.
Because that Z back chirp, that shit smokes, bro.
Fire, bro.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
100% that shit smokes.
But then my next thing is candy gas. I love
that's like the candy and the gas right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the gas is gelato, basically. Gelato 41 specifically.
The gas is about to be OG again.
Yeah. And
I think so.
You know what? Back up.
Well, yeah. You know what? It's like you're hearing people bring it up more and more, you know, and that there's really not a lot of fire OG around anymore. So,
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
Time.
If a lot of these cultivators in LA are smokers, they smoke OG, bro.
Yeah.
Your boy.
If you're from out here, I
that
feel
little
like
crew over there, they got more square footage of OG than probably anybody on earth has ever had at any one time in an indoor setting.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it because that shit is.
Well, shout out the homie that we got one of the homies sitting in the background kicking it in the room. We got Tree Base Clear here. So
Absolutely.
he's knows.
He
knows OG for sure.
They got that fire. You know?
Yeah, it's gonna come back, and now we're gonna see a lot of breeding with it. So now we're gonna get what you're saying. We're gonna get stuff that looks purple and frosted out, and you open it up, and you're like, "This is OG." That's gonna be trippy.
Have you had Sour Power from Kushco?
I have like 50 something seeds of it I bought, and I'm still sitting on them.
Okay, I'll get you some of it. It's fire, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like a sour. It looks like a purple exotic weed, but it smokes like a sour OG cross.
I love
like
Karma
Headband or something, and you're just like,
Oh, like
Fuck.
headband. That makes sense.
We're huge fans
You know
of
what I
Karma
mean? Yeah,
Genetics.
straight up.
Which
Like
is
we're
like-
Karma's one of our
that was
top
like-
guys.
He's got a strain out now. It's called or Summer Select does it. A few people do it. Karma's Head Stash or Head Stash.
yeah. But if you got some good headband, bro, that's like you're not gonna get that.
Straight
Shit'll give
up.
you a panic attack.
Remember
for
that
real.
shit?
Yeah, straight up. I do remember a good headband.
The structure was real weird too on the buds. They were like, it had that potted structure, which I'm like a huge fan of, where each nug is consisted of a bunch of small nugs, like pods.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I love whenever I see that, I'm always like, ooh, I like that structure. Just it's so different. It's rare. Like you don't see it a lot. You know, sour diesel, some of the real original sour diesels used to have that. What do you think about that? You like sour diesels? It's more East Coast, you know?
Diesel crushes, bro.
Yeah.
She takes a really long time to flower, so that's why you don't see her. And also, I mean, in LA we don't see her because they were buying all of it. So
I just spent
It wasn't around,
$1,000
I was just talking
on a
about
cut.
there was mad. Just go back like 5-6 years, bro, and there's mad warehouses like
Sour.
polka dotting us right now, probably that were filled with sour, dog.
Yeah.
'Cause
Straight
that
up.
shit.
You can
that shit
grow it
moves.
mediocre and it still comes out smelling like sour.
Yeah, bro, it goes a long time. It's fire. And people used to get cuts of OG, or so they thought, and they would end up with rooms full of sour diesel quite a bit.
yeah.
And then they call it OG.
That's happened to couple cats I know. They'll be like, it's day 70, she still doesn't look done. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that one's OG, dog.
You're like, he's like, that ain't round either. It's all different look. Yeah. Fucking hairs all sticking out. Oh man. I like that though. That's we brought originally when we came out here, I thought Death Star. We had Ohio Death Star, which was like crazy diesel lime green. I was like, this is gonna crush out here. They love OGs. We put it out, everyone hated it. The only strain ever I put out that people were like, I'm good on that. So we sent it to the next dispensary and they were like, I'm good on that. And we were like, all right, kill this. I literally went back to the garden and was like, done.
Yeah, that was at a time when like it was hard to
all
walk
OG.
into a dispensary without OG though.
Yeah.
Straight up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. it was
People were
definitely
laughing
different.
at us.
I mean,
for
we
sure.
had-
It's funny.
We would have like 15, 16. I mean, I might have 15 like fire OGs on my top shelf at one time because we had,
Wow.
No, I remember the days.
you know what I'm saying?
All
And
the
then, like,
pop-ups, all the
mids
pop-up spots
and low
were.
OGs on the shelf as well, you know? And
Yeah.
then like obviously a few sativas and then maybe one offshoot or whatever, you know what I mean?
Of
Most
some
of the time it
perk or
was
some
blackberry first, GDPs, and then came along with like cookies and that type of lineage. But that's all you would have. You would have just OG.
Some Jack. There'd be some Jack. J1
Have to have
in there.
Jack.
Oh, God.
Have to have Jack. Have to have Blue Dream. And if you get a good green cracker sour D, you'd be happy with it. That's a shelf, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
You gotta
straight
have
up.
that's like how you run a retail store in LA. You gotta have Jack though. If you got a good Jack, good J1, good green cracker, good Blue Dream, like there's people that are gonna come from ways away, and that's what they smoke. Like a Blue Dream smoker doesn't need to have like a bunch of different variations of it. He'll be good just coming back in to buy ounces of
Blue Dream.
Blue Dream
Yeah.
or Jack or like
That's why every brand should have their proprietary strains they lock down, and we should make it like a thing, like more of like a cool thing to have your own shit and not everyone running each other's shit.
hey, bro,
You know?
I think that like, just for a little gem to sprinkle on the rec market.
Yeah.
Yo, if you guys are having trouble chasing this hype shit that you're probably never going to get ahead of because people are creating it and you're not involved, grow Blue Dream, bro.
Yeah.
Grow Jack in California and you'll crush it.
Whatever your little hometown strain is that not a lot of people have seen or you remember was real fire,
Yeah.
grow that fucking shit and don't give it up. I remember we had a strain called Silver Pearl. You ever heard of that one? Literally smelled like if you played football practice for 2 weeks, well, let's say baseball, you played baseball practice for 2 weeks, then took your glove off and huffed it. It was repelling. I mean, like I would have pounds and put it in front of somebody and they would think that you have a pound of mold that you're trying to sell. People are like, what'd you do to this? I'm like, nah, it's fire. They're like,
Fresh.
They'd look at the only time ever people would look at me like I'm trying to pull a fast one with absolute frosted out fire in front of them. They'd be like, They're looking at you like, I don't know, man. What'd you do to it? And I'm like, nothing. Like, did you put different stuff in it? I'm like, what do you, different stuff, you know? But yeah, silver pearl. I see some breeders doing it, but I like that with legalization, we're going to get all these crazy ass strains from all over the country coming out.
I think that we'll start to see some originals coming back around because of what you're talking about,
100%.
chasing the hype. And we're not even in the conversation. Like
somebody posted the other day and was like, oh yeah, grow this hype strain that doesn't yield and is going to cost me a bunch of money, or just, how about I just grow this strain that crushed for like the last 25 years for a reason and like was
Straight
super
up.
consistent, you know?
Yeah, 100%, bro. I agree. And you don't see enough of it. And it's tough because you have to almost fight the customers. You got to stick your guns. You know what I'm saying? You have to be like, I'm sorry, we're not growing runts, but we got this.
Straight up.
And that's the tough part, because you hear people are saying, dude, this dude just got 5,500 for some runts. And then you're hearing, no, 6,500. And you're like, what? And you're over there like, can I get 28 for some absolute, you know, and you hear these small time growers come to me and they're like, one day. And I'm like, no, bro, stay in your lane. Don't worry about this next new cut. Like, do your thing. Trust me, it'll come back around.
I got guys that work for me that come like literally either send me pictures or like send me Instagram profiles or send me this like literally on a daily basis and be like, what do you think about this? Or this guy wants 1,500 for a cut of this. And I'm like,
We're good. Stay.
not even for me, but like for him personally.
Oh,
I'm just like,
yeah.
just stop, bro. Don't even trip. There's like, it ain't worth it.
It's tough.
First of all, you're probably chasing something that
Isn't as good as what you got.
that, and you know, maybe personally, you're not going to get, it's not going to work out for you like that. You know what I'm saying?
Cuts probably aren't even what they say they are.
That's half
We've
the time.
definitely learned that.
Oh man, I've given whole real estate to a room before because we thought it was one, young mistakes as a young grower, you know?
Yeah, bro.
Oof.
I'm still, still
managing
making mistakes daily.
Yeah,
Straight
always.
Yeah.
But learning and pivoting and smaller mistakes, right? They're not as like, I used to put a whole room in bloom. Now I put a tray in, you know?
Yeah.
But it's something that I'm like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, back then you were.
What do you really enjoy smoking? Like when you, obviously Wendy's your number one, but is there like a certain flavor profile or are you just about fire? Like
I just love weed, bro.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. And I love that it's something that is so unique. Nothing on earth that I've had any type of substance or food or anything has a terp profile that cannabis has. When you're an experienced cannabis smoker, obviously your first hit is a little rough, you know what I mean? But once you develop a flavor for it, and more so than like, I'm a drinker, but I never got the palate flavor for it. I know good alcohol from bad alcohol at this point, but like, not like cannabis. It's not as unique.
Yeah.
There's not as many variations of it. I mean, look, we're talking about all these different terp profiles, and you wonder why we compare them to fruits and foods and stuff is because there's nothing else that has that many different facets of it, right? Like food is the only
100%.
thing you can describe because food has all of these different flavors and terpene profiles.
and you can mix them up and get two different things and strawberry banana, boom.
Yeah. So this is, and cannabis is like, oh, wait, that's strawberry and banana. Hold on. And this is totally different. And it's exciting.
First time I showed my mom some super fire like herb from these days, she goes, honey, I don't think we used to get any. I think we used to smoke. They would sell us the leaves. She's like, none of this looks anything like what they used to get back in the 70s, you know? She's like, this, and she was sitting there smelling it, and then she put it down and she smell it. And she must have done that for 2 minutes straight. Pick it up, smell it, put it back down, and try to figure out like, she's like, we never got anything. She's like, we were smoking leaves for sure. And I was like, we always die laughing because I'll put something in front of my mom that smells like blueberries or something. And I'll say, what do you think that smells like? And she's not even a big pot person. And she still is like, the smell, the terps, this is crazy. Yeah. She just can't believe the smells that are getting pulled out of cannabis right now.
It's beautiful.
It is.
So many colors and so many things. And
how'd you get involved with the business?
I just like weed. And I'm from LA.
Straight up, you just hopped in.
It's in his blood.
How old were you when you hopped in? Like
17, 18.
So it was like your first shit. You just jumped right into it.
Business wise, yeah.
Yeah, that's dope as hell.
Yeah, man.
And that's something that's
no one would have known.
Yeah, that's something you wouldn't know.
You know, watching the movies and kind of idolizing this guy as like a young, because we all grew up in the 80s. Like I'm an 80s baby.
I'm an 80s baby.
I mean, iconic. And
I played baseball.
Yeah.
So if you're an 80s baby and you play baseball, you know my man was in Sandlot, Squints. One of my favorite out of the movies, the Young
Iconic.
Legend. And you kissed the lifeguard, so that made you an instant legend.
Yeah.
I just
on the
got,
movie.
once again, I just got really, really lucky, bro.
How did all that go down, big dog?
If you don't mind telling us, yeah.
Sandlot was like a regular audition. I'd been working already. I started acting in Dallas when I was young, and then just by chance started working, and they wanted my mom to send me out on auditions, and then I just started booking everything I would do, you know. And we met an agent from out here and ended up in LA. I did like Father of the Bride, I think.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, and I started working out here. My parents split up. We ended up in LA. We came for a summer or a pilot season or something and never left. And that was kind of it.
That's
Sandlot
awesome.
came around.
And blew up.
I mean,
Not at first,
no,
but
I didn't really, but it
What's
was
the history on that? Because I was kind of too young to really even.
I was
so it really got bigger on
Time went on.
VHS. And then as time went on, it became like this cult
Classic.
thing that,
oh,
you know, it's a good movie, bro. And motherfuckers can put it on for their kids. And it's gone like 3 generations now of people showing it to their kids and then their kids' kids and then their kids' kids' kids at this point, probably.
it's going to keep going.
And, you know, the director and the writer, David Mickey Evans, it was his baby and he wrote it and directed it and screamed on a bullhorn fucking lines at us while we were shooting it. Just say this, say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's really
fucking legendary.
Yeah, super.
And it was shot out here in LA.
No, it was in Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. Okay.
It was supposed to be LA in the 60s. And so Salt Lake has valleys like that. And it was easier to lock down streets and put picture cars. It was a decent budget film for 92. It was they did it for like $5 million. You know, it was a studio film. It's not like crazy budget, but it was a good budget for that film. And Homeboy he crushed it, bro. He did the thing that you never do in Hollywood. They say, don't work with dogs, don't work with kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And this fool did both and made a classic. You know what I mean?
I burnt the tape out. I've watched it so many times.
They say that.
Don't work with dogs or kids. Animals and kids.
Because you can't. They don't. They
can't control, bro.
Can't control.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass from like a production standpoint. And like nobody wants to deal with that shit.
And you guys had to go to you had to have someone on set. I'm guessing for schooling. They talk about right and all that.
It was in the summer,
shit.
so you have like a social worker on set to make sure they're not abusing the kids. You know what I mean? It was they had all the Jackie Coogan laws and that type of shit.
Yeah, the guy's yelling at you from a microphone. They're like, "No, I promise we're good."
Yeah, I mean, you know, you do what you do to work in Hollywood. I guess you know.
Straight up, you get out there and make it happen.
One of the best movies of all time.
As hell. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it didn't go. Did it go to theater?
Yeah. Oh no. It did like 35. It did 35 million at the box office. It wasn't bad. And
that's a win.
It just caught on with time, and like you said, generations has passed on. Because I know I got younger homies that are 20 that they know about the movie, and they don't know about a lot of classics, but they know about that one. So it's like,
you know, Disney Plus just used it in a commercial yesterday for you to watch Disney Plus. So. Like MGM and them are fighting over it. That's a catalog staple. Like this dude created something that multiple studios that Fox got bought and MGM had bought the rights to it sometime and literally fought Disney. Disney's took it off of Disney Plus since Disney Plus happened twice because of MGM and because of them going at it over it. So imagine like that's some power, bro. That shit's a catalog that holds money. And that's like them fighting over something that's like a valuable thing, you know?
That is the movie of baseball.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
You know, this is what I was getting into with the director thing. So this fool, he says, because we do these tours and autograph signings and shit, and he'll say that like, because it's set as a period piece in 1962, it keeps it timeless forever. And so they shot it in the 90s and it could have been really bad. And I'm not, you know, like there's other films like that, like Rookie of the Year is an amazing film. Mm-hmm. But because Sandlot was shot in a period piece, it's just this thing. And he shot it like, you don't notice it, but when I tell you now, he shot it like he told the director of photography, Tony Richards, he said, I want it to look like Kodak chromatic film. That's what I want it to look like the 60s look of like Kodak chromatic film. He's like, I want it to be like that. So now it's like, it's literally like pop art, like a living piece of pop art that this dude created, this fucking masterpiece that just works together with all these fucking riffraff kids and like
diverse group of kids, bro. Like
it's very American. You get all of the things that fucking summertime, playing with your friends, this little Goonies vibe and like Stand By Me shit that's going on.
Outsider wanting to be an insider. Yeah.
You get it all. And awesome. Baseball, bro. So it's like, it's just Americana now.
Straight up. So you keep up with, were you like friends with them after you keep up with the kids and stuff? Keep up with the gang? You of them?
Yeah, and we've been doing like in the last since like the 20. What was it?
One of them's got a podcast.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Pat does a podcast.
I watched the one you guys did together. Correct?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, we've been in touch quite a bit because we've been working together doing autograph signings or fucking baseball games or like that type of shit. We did a bunch of reunion stuff. So
I would imagine that come back heavy.
Yeah, that's
reunion stuff. Like, I mean, dude.
Yeah, and I you don't realize about how he's saying like it caught on as time went on.
The collector market is crazy, bro. It's like I'm not a collector.
That shit's coming back heavy.
It's not my thing. I collected baseball cards and cards when I was a kid, but I've never been like a collector of like, I do all these things with all these sports people and they try to give me shit. And I'm like, I'm good, bro. Like, I'm not that dude. It just doesn't do it for me. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Cut me the check. Don't give me 100 baseball cards.
You got some fire ass weed. I'll take that.
No, they're going to pay me anyway. But even they still try to be like, you want anything from the store? And they got some dope ass shit. And I'm just like, I'm good, bro. I'm not going to fucking hang up Hank Aaron's shoes or like a fucking jersey or anything. Like, it's just not my thing.
It's funny. They think he's like, they're like, you're the biggest baseball fan we ever had, bro. You have to be. You're in a movie
baseball.
about it.
I just don't collect shit.
No, you're like, I was there for the check.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
well, and like, I mean, it's funny, right? Like that, right? You run into anyone like
people like to assume.
Yeah, well, weed smokers, right? And then like Jim Brewer, and then you find out that Jim Brewer doesn't smoke weed, and you're like, well, he's the greatest high guy ever. Like on camera, he's one of the top 3 of all time, almost, you know. And you're like, yeah, he doesn't smoke weed at all. He just, you know, and so you don't have to be.
It's kind of like when you take your first trip to Hollywood and you get out here and you're on Hollywood Boulevard and you're like, wait, what the fuck is this?
Some bums peeing on your leg. There's like a bum pissing on your leg. And like
everybody that comes out here is just filled up with disappointment when they're like, oh man, let's go watch the Walk of Fame. Let's go look at the stars.
That's when you give them some weed and you go, just calm down, go up to Runyon and rethink your life. Things will work out.
The shit you want to look at out here.
Yeah.
The weed.
Yeah, come to Cali.
It's the Mecca
for sure.
It's the Mecca. That's why we're out here. We're from the East Coast, so we came out here for this.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
And I feel like a bunch of creatives come out here just for whatever their craft is, but for us, it uncovered this like underground world of cannabis. That's like the culture really lives different in Cali. Yeah. It's much different. It's almost like I feel like we're on our own teams, you know, and there's a bunch of teams and like everybody's like competing, but still friendly, you know, coming together. And now we're seeing like events and shit like that go on. And so it's kind of dope.
You're blessed to grow up out here. Super cool, man. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, grow up out here after you got a little bit older.
I'm glad that you guys like it. It's not for everybody. And
no, it isn't.
I think it being the weed thing.
Yeah, that's why you really
fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? But LA is a beautiful place and it's hard to leave once you come here because it's not like this everywhere else. And you know that. You know
Straight up.
But I love it. You're from Florida, no?
Yep.
Yeah, I love Florida.
Yeah, Florida's dope. I feel like it's a brother sister states. You know what I mean? Like
I'm from
West
Texas
Coast,
originally. So what I say about Florida and even in like South Florida where you get like South Florida is like Cali, Texas vibes.
Yeah.
A little island influence.
Yeah.
And a beautiful skies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never see anything blue like a Florida sky.
Straight
you know
up.
what I mean? It's just got a different color texture to it.
Oh man,
you know
the women too.
Vibe and picture, you know?
Yeah.
I'm all about South Florida. Everything's got its own vibe, I think.
The perks.
Which is cool.
Tough part for us with Florida was that I felt like even if we stayed, right, and I tried, because that was like a big thing was like, all right, stay and really get, they're never really, even if it's okay, like as far as legalized, they're never really cool with it. Like out here, people, I'll walk into a restaurant or they'll be like, man, you smell amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thank you. And we'll have like a cool little convo or we'll, you know, there's like a fun little back and forth. In Florida, it's nothing but nasty looks or the people coming up to you are like, let me get some. Yeah. It's such a different atmosphere than out here. The culture's different. The vibe is different. People out there, I would be very worried about smelling like herb and going anywhere. Out here, I don't even think twice about it because 50% of the people do at least. So it's just so different, man.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
Yeah.
I'd say even more people smoke out here, and then
I've heard it the other day, 68% right now.
more than ever.
Of adults in California, is that a stat?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
That's
I was
good.
going through, I get like a news thing on my phone for stoners and it was, a new update, 68% of, I think it was, I honestly want to say it was the US.
Yeah, most of the time you just hear, "Ooh, you smell good."
Yeah.
So that's
Like Spin Kush is my cologne.
Yeah.
It's been my
Well,
shit.
Bubba, right? Oh man, the old school
and the
Bubbas.
OG, like I remember cars that I had, and I can remember just like what it smells like in the summertime in like a 2002 E-Class on like that leather and the music, and like it sets a tone. Like it literally, when I smell OG or like burnt OG, it brings me back to like certain memories from an era. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's powerful.
Nostalgic.
Smell.
That shit was like, that was a get in anywhere free card back in the day, bro. Just know it. That smelling like straight up like OG gas. Cause now we're like, everything is fire and we kind of have this smell. Back then, like if you smelled like that shit, like you were,
Yeah.
You could get connected. That was better than money.
You really smelled good. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you smell good. Like the plug, you're the man for real.
Your shit smelling
Even
different.
if you just have OG to be able to smoke and shit. You know what I mean?
And the Bubba was like platinum colored though. The Bubba was, we used to see OGs, but when we would get the Bubbas, you could see it through 3 vacuum seals, the color change. You're like, what's that one that's like white, like platinum looking? And the nugs look like they little explosions, like tiny little boom.
That little round.
Oh, bro.
I love that shit.
I found a couple bag seeds one time, and this is like probably 2007, 8. And I had a grow house, a 2-story grow house on the East Coast. And it was so dope. I had taken the whole upstairs and built it out in the downstairs as well. So it was like literally you walk in and there was a secondary door and then everything else is full lit up. And I had found a couple bag seeds out of some pounds of Bubba and planted them and found this beautiful female that literally smelled like fresh ground coffee and gasoline. Like it like burnt your nostril hairs. I had the whole house filled up with Bubba. And I mean, at the time, that it was rare to see Bubba, especially grown on the East Coast, right?
Oh, you're crushing.
And at about day 42, I get a call from the landlord, and this is on a Wednesday evening at about 6 p.m. Hey, how you doing? The owners, they're from Iceland. They actually purchased the house. That's why I rented it, because they said the owners live in Iceland. I was like, fucking perfect. So I rented it, and literally in the middle of this first run of OG, whole house filled. Hey, it's a Wednesday evening. We'll be doing the walkthrough on Friday morning. The owners are actually flying in and they want to see the house before they fly out. So I went into full panic mode. Reached out to everybody that I could trust in my phone book and was like, I'll give you weed if you just help me break this house down. Pulled up the biggest U-Haul I could in front of the house, staged everything in the garage, like madness. Didn't sleep for 2 days straight. Soon as they came Friday morning, we hadn't slept. Like people were pulling out of my driveway and like 10 minutes later they showed up, right? And I was delirious at the time because we hadn't slept, and the stress and I couldn't believe we actually fixed the fucking house to some degree, right? It was presentable. You wouldn't know until you started pressing on holes that were still wet and shit. And fucking right when the guy walks up, I'm like, here's the keys. You told me you'd never come through. I'm canceling the lease, keep the deposit, and just literally walked past him as I was talking. I vaguely remember it. I was talking and just handing keys. Got in this. I had an OJ Simpson 4Runner that I had parked in front of it because I had, like OJ Simpson had that 4Runner
or Bronco.
The Bronco. Yeah, there you go. The Bronco. So yeah, who fucking know? I had a Bronco that I used to park in front of the house to make it look like someone lived there.
Yeah.
And I got in that fucking thing and literally just pulled off. And that was the last time the guy saw me. I salvaged it, but I ended up losing the strain right then and there. And people always like, how do you lose a strain? That's how you lose one.
Yeah. Well,
just people love stories. So I always like to drop a gem of like Bubba Kush, man. That's the last time I saw it. That was like legit Bubba.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was. Because looking now, it'd be like a coveted cut that I had.
Like the Holy Grail, bro.
Yeah, man. I would love to see that come back around. Any
like well-grown Bubba going around at all.
Because she takes like 6 months to veg properly.
And then you hear like Cali plug, right? He says like the Asian Bubbas.
Oh, no, they still grow Bubba because she's short as
I hear that, but I'm like, yo, I want someone to reach out and shoot me a cut that's not infested with spider mites, please. But yeah, I'd love a cut of, I mean, dude, what a great thing to breed with and play with a little bit, right?
I think PCG has a cut of it, bro.
Do they?
You can get it.
Okay.
Just
I want the real one though. They got the bunch of weird ones.
Dragon, just ask if they have it somewhere in the culinary still.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How'd you get hooked up with Green Dragon and everything?
A friend of mine, my boy Dietrich, is a soul assassin and is friends, personal friends. And so, you know, I went over there to give some work, and he was in a transitional phase of like moving from their original store in Van Nuys, and he fired his whole bud tending staff and everybody. And he was like, you know, you should come work with me. You know what I'm saying? And
damn, dude.
I kind of just went and did that.
Oh yeah. Had you managed a shop or done anything with the shop before?
Nothing. No, I'd been selling weed forever though, and growing obviously at houses and shit at the time too. On a smaller scale. This was my first like.
But he trusted you. Yeah.
Did you hop straight into growing?
No. I was bud tending. I started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
smoking.
Him and somebody else were running the grow still at that point. And then even there, I never cultivated on site there. And when I started managing, like as we grew with the business, and because the business started over at that point, like he started at a new spot and he basically lost most of his business, and we kind of had to rebuild it. And, you know, they had a name for years at their other location, but back then it was, you know, you move, we had a storefront somewhere and then you move to some fucking warehouse off the beaten path. It was tough. You know, we had to get it back up and ramp it back up and build it again. But we grew together, and now you see what they're doing, you know, up and down the state. They're
crushing
obviously,
it.
Yeah.
Dope as fuck.
They have lounges too. They have the first lounge out in Palm Springs. They're like one of the nicest ones.
Yeah, what was that lounge you were telling us about?
The Vault.
The Vault. That's down. That's in Palm
big
Springs
shout out
too.
the Vault.
Yeah, that's not Green Dragon's place.
No. And now I'm hearing lounges in Vegas.
Yeah, I can't.
Right? You hear that? Dude.
Man, I want to get into that business.
That's you all day, bro. I mean, I could see you. I'm dead serious just with everything. Even if you do the Sandlot, I mean, not to say it had to be that, but holy shit, that's such a dope vibe, you know? Especially for Vegas.
That's like my forte. So if somewhere down the line, because I'm obviously not going to be in rooms anymore in the near future, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
I mean, I still do, like, I make mixes every day for years and years and years and years and years.
That's dope,
you know what I'm saying? But like, I made mixes today. I make mixes tomorrow. Like I'm making mixes.
You enjoy it.
I do, but I don't plan on being in rooms. But like you're saying, like Vegas at a lounge, that's like me running a place like that is like, couldn't be any better of a fit.
I can feel
really it. My forte is like
hospitality almost. Yeah.
Yeah. I crush the shop vibe there because I'm really good with people and can manage like multiple echelons of things. So
multifaceted,
like these people, patients, this, that, and kind of meet everything. So that's really my background, is just kind of like
the glue,
face-to-face
management,
interaction, management
like
of things like that. You know what I mean?
Man.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine Vegas?
That's the dream though, dog. Like Vegas,
no, it is.
And dope ass thing. Can you imagine? Oh yeah, I'm running Caesars now, bro.
Yeah, Caesars Lounge.
Straight up, I'm over here at the Caesars Lounge.
Yeah, I'm at Caesars. Yeah, they gave me a fucking penthouse, and I just been here, me and the kids.
Residency.
For a while
me
here.
and fucking Caesar.
Got a residency.
Yeah.
And think about that.
Caesars, bro.
You got the Picture Me Rolling podcast. Once we get the lounges, you can have a live podcast and do guests. You know, people are doing that already that aren't, it's not cannabis, obviously, you know what I mean? But they're doing the live audiences and people are loving it, man.
And that's perfect. It's the communal thing.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Like weed is one of those things that like, I compare it to this. I smoked cigarettes as a kid, and if I really wanted a cigarette when I was a little kid and couldn't buy them, like I might dig through an ashtray and pick up a cigarette or something. But like, you don't usually share cigarettes with people, even people that have like weird. So I know somebody who's from Eastern Europe anyway, and they talked about how they their dad is like a germaphobe and wouldn't even like kiss them on the mouth or show them
good
any
excuse
affection. But she's seen him passing a fucking cigarette when she was a kid with like other people in the community in Jersey or wherever when they first immigrated, right?
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't cigarettes. He was smoking weed with people.
Oh, shit. Okay. So you're like, yeah, what?
Germaphobe dude that doesn't want to fucking touch anything or do anything, but he's going to sit there with some randoms in Jersey after they moved from Russia and smoke weed with them, right?
I'm guilty of that.
It's that shit. Because if you were next to me and you'd be like,
you got that shit lit.
I'd be like, first of all, you don't know how much you just lucked up because I'm probably smoking some other shit and you're about to get blessed. But like like you give it to people and you share it with people. I mean, I think the worst part about coronavirus is that our whole business that used to be like a very communal, like almost to the point where it's probably better off that we have a little bit of sanitation shit going on now.
A little bit.
100%. You know what I mean?
It opens up new business avenues too for having your own like kind of glass tip. LA Family Farms brought this really cool tip through, and it's for all their pre-rolls. And then once you use it, you can stick a joint in the tip of it, and it becomes almost like a glass tip
holder.
And like shit like that. Hopefully,
the
people
joint with the tip, and you stip it in the glass tip. You know,
and then you can just have one in your pocket or something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then I mean, because then you can smoke with that. Not to say that that's going to stop Corona, because if you got it or whatever, and you touch your lips, I'm still pretty close to that fucking J. You know what I'm saying? So who knows what's all. Everyone should just roll their own joints, I guess, for now until we figure this shit out.
I'm gonna look like Hunter S. Thompson, like you said, at Caesar's Palace.
Fucking I could see you with I could see you with the suit, rocking the shades. Fucking coming up.
He's got a little thing up by the pool. Yeah, you're like, you see him up in the thing, like, no, he just gets the little thing up there. You know,
straight up,
fucking dope, dude.
We can only hope.
I mean, LA's gonna open up at some point with lounges. I mean, it's crazy that they stifled that.
Look, bro, who does were you a part of the coffee and cannabis thing that I just saw recently? Somebody posted?
No.
Okay. I forget which group that was, but they did like a
coffee and cars or something, balanced or something.
Coffee and cars.
LAX packs.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know some people.
Shout out to them. Yeah.
And I thought it was a dope idea because I love coffee.
They had old school
coffee
trucks
shop
and
vibes.
shit.
And weed is it's not a bar thing.
Yeah, not at all.
Hell no.
It's a coffee shop thing.
Yes,
it is. It's
you
like
can
a
see
hipster.
tables, like, you know, old Jewish dudes they hang out at coffee shops. People hang out at coffee shops.
Good
There's
combo.
no reason for them to be there or any reason.
Yeah.
Some people just, that's their shit. You know what I mean?
Hop on the internet combo, whatever.
Which one's that?
I don't know. Which one?
What is it?
Let's roll another one up.
They're
My man brought so many flavors. Let's talk about some of these flavors. You said rainbow chip earlier, and that one smells crazy.
This is Squints, bro. This is my Squint strain. The one that we ran as our rec strain is rainbow chip. Rainbow chip got given to me by, crazy story of it, but the dudes from Your Highness LA gave this cut to me, and I actually they gave me two of them, and this is not the better one, but I lost it. And this is the one I ran with. And
so these are phenos from seed then. Wow, nice.
Yeah, that homie had popped.
Yeah.
And that they ended up not using for whatever reason. But he gave me a few cuts, and this was one of them. And I put it in a house, and she didn't do very well, but I smoked it, and it was super fire, bro. And then I was like, okay, I got to run her again. And I ran her again. And it took me about 1.5 years to like get her to do what I wanted. But now she's a dope ass plant. And, we put her out into the market, and people liked her. They responded to her. Well, I know they would. It's like a super sherbet type of, like a real sunset, but has a little mint to it and a little different. And for the exotics at the moment, I really liked it.
The super terpy stuff is always hard to grow. So it takes a while to dial it in. Anything that has that really strong terpene profile, I don't care what it is. If it has a strong terpene profile, it's a little harder to grow.
This is different too. Rainbow chip.
I can smell it right here now.
It smells like mint chocolate chip with like Skittles or some type of.
I've had some connoisseur
vibe, lemon vibe.
There you go. Yeah, I've had some connoisseurs come to me and tell me about mint chocolate chip back in the day. Like,
yeah, that's from Exotic from Mike.
Boom, there you go.
Genetics. This is his. It's rainbow chip, and like I said, this is the not better pheno, but she was a better plant, and now that I've got her to like, she's a beautiful plant, bro.
You got to dial.
I still have 4 original packs of that.
Of the rainbow chip?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit. Here, I'll just pop them one at a time and hunt them because it's the most fire lineage out of all that shit, bro. Anything that, like, we've been testing phenos for like the last 2 runs of test. Anything with rainbow chip in it crushes, bro.
You know what struck me different for you than a lot of other like iconic like celebrity types? You're very involved, and I don't mean from the backseat. I mean like you're basically in the garden. You've done this shit yourself. I can tell just from having a convo with you that it's different, and I'm sure you get that a lot. I'm sure you have to have somewhat of a little shield up because a lot of people come to you thinking some guys grow some shit, put it in, then you put your name on it, and then you just show up with it. And I can tell from a minute of convo that
ain't the case.
Not that we even give a fuck, because if you care about it, you care about it.
No,
and
100%.
But I can tell you're on the other side of it. Just like you saying you had your own grows, and just also with the flavors you picked to show us, I know you're involved heavily.
To be honest, when I saw the flavors in the jars, I'm like, man, either you got in a position that was
how to happen.
Like you got matched with the right person, or you've been in the game a long time. And
Both.
I figured you'd been in the game a long time, but
yeah,
talk about, this is some fire
cool
ass
that
weed,
people-
bro.
It's so awesome that like this whole world that we live in is very brand new, and that
Straight up.
people still don't like outside of a few like groups. Cause even when LA was a big place and 215 was going on, like we don't all know each other. Like some groups never cross paths, and we're still doing a lot of work at the same time in the same time frame. And for whatever reason, I mean, we just never cross paths. A lot of us are in like I said, like I come from one crew and we ran like a big spot and a lot of stuff. So I never left, bro. Like I've been working 7 days a week since then. Like
everyone like touches elbows, right? Like I know someone that you know, and then we all kind of like, it's interesting.
100%. It's a small world though, obviously.
What are some of your favorite strains you've had a part of growing in the last, you know what I'm saying? Anything throwback that like really you're like, man, I wish we had that still.
I still wish I had that. I want to grab that cookie cut again and start running it again. I want to see what I can.
Great one.
I want to see what I can do with her now because I'm better and the game is advanced, and I just want to see if it's
what you remember.
Feasible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the point at that time, she wasn't. The market had gone down into like the 16, 17 range for fire, bro, and it was rough. Like you have something that hits.
Those are the doom days, right there.
Has a bad run and hits up fucking 0.75 a light or something. It's like hard to fucking survive or pay bills or do whatever. So she kind of fizzled out. But now I would like to see like, you know what I mean? Things are different. The market's up. In the rec market, I feel like that would crush.
And maybe you could play with her a little different now, you know, or smaller, you know, you had your bets a little smaller. Instead of running the whole room, you throw one tray in and you stack them in there heavy, strip them down. I
guarantee if I fill up rooms with cookies right now, Squint's cookies will be on every blue store shelf anywhere that you can find.
People would love that.
Berno put that shit on the menu as a staple for
100%.
Sure, 100%. You know?
I just
bring the forum cut cookies back, man.
That animal's a great one. You know what I just bought back is Platinum GSE, the Platinum Girl Scout. I just got that back in my garden. I'd had that years and years ago. We love growing that, and I just got it back in the mix. You know, yeah. I might know someone with Forum. I bet I could plug you with that if you're serious about wanting that. Yeah. I have some guys around me, and we always talk about exotic cuts very hard to get, and it's a long story. But as a heady grower, I came up with this list about a year ago that I said, okay, any real grower, any brand should have a list. And you should say orange, lemon, gas, chem, purple, you know, and you should go down and maybe 20 different flavor profiles, whatever it is. And then you should pick the best strain in each category that you can get your hands on. And that's your working list. And anything you find better than that, that takes over. It doesn't get added to the list. It eliminates something on that list. And if it's not worth eliminating something on that list, don't bring it in the fucking garden. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times me as a grower too, I grew up not being able to get strains. So now I take everything in. Oh, you got some pad? Oh, I'd love to have that. I'd love to have this. And it's the worst thing you can do. And just like you're talking, I mean, like you got such crazy flavor profiles. Every single one smells different. Every single one has a different type of structure. I mean, that's what you want as a grower, in my opinion. Like you're crushing it with that, bro.
We're just popping a lot of seeds, and we've been doing it for a while now. So
that's expensive.
One good thing that got lucky for us being LA guys is that I ran the shop. So I was growing to feed the shelf, and it enabled us to grow other things besides OG earlier than most of the guys in Los Angeles were running them, you know, and having a shop and having access to like cuts coming from up north or different shit. You throw them in a garden because you have them and because you have access, you know? So now it's like us getting on the seed wave and that type of thing was easier for us to do because we had that mindset of like, okay, well, I know I'm going to be able to sell it anyway because, you know, we have a shop or we can do this.
And you knew your customers.
Test things.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a shop, you can sell shit. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter. It's not going to be, you know, we'll go back to growing OG, but
yeah,
it's not going to sit. It's not going to be like, I don't know who to give this to. You know what I mean?
I always hassle shops. I'm like, take these fucking sativas. People like them and they want to not take them. And I'm like, just because you guys don't like sativas, like people like me who have to work all day and still smoke and like want my mind. I like that racing mind feeling. People want it. They won't take them though sometimes. And I get it. Take half, but yeah, it's tough, man. And that's why whenever I find a good, like a dispensary runner or owner, and as a buyer, we remember Pack Gods remembers, and they would be open to taking more of a full line and not just, we'll take that one and that's it, because we know that one's your heavy hitter. And we know that that's the hype strain that everyone will want. When they would be like, fuck it, we'll take one of everything and we'll see how they go. Those were the guys where I was like, man, we need to, we're best. We're going to become friends, you know?
Yeah. Sucks for them. They're missing out on,
Sativas, man.
It'll come back around.
Yeah, I bet, you guys would crush a good sativa, I bet.
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't seen one in a minute.
You smoke sativas at all? Here and there, not so much. Yeah, it's funny. It's an East Coast fucking thing, man. I'm talking to myself.
Forbidden fruit is one of the only sativa-ish things that I smoked and grew for a while that I would continue to smoke and put into rooms. She just has the most interesting terp profile.
Pack Gods hated it. I would grow it, and he would be like, "The fuck you doing? This is real estate wasted."
The cut 100%. Was like burnt orange terps. I hate that.
I just always
flavorful.
Yeah,
it just doesn't come out that great.
You guys got tangied for a while.
I always pride myself in taking a cut and growing the shit out of it.
You're from Florida, and when I say you got tangied, you got depped out from like whatever the fuck they were running back then, and now you're just ruined on that terp profile.
Straight up.
Yeah, man.
No, it's true.
Oranges are the hardest things to sell.
Thing is like that they were on that wave for a while, and you guys smoked a bunch of just different bad variations of it. I'm sure, because that's what
100%.
Tangy has like,
and you were lucky to get that
bad variations of it. Never seen a Tangy where there's been a couple like.
Mm-hmm.
And
seriously,
people bringing me bags.
I've seen something called like Tangyland that I was like, okay,
that's Candyland times Tangy. So
yeah, and that was pretty dope.
That
was pretty dope. But other than that, I'm not really.
You know what we used to get in Florida that was real good orange terp, and this is before Tangy, was Orange
Cali
Crush.
Orange Crush.
Yeah, Orange Crush. I had an old school grower we called Hippie Mike, and he used to grow an Orange Crush. He used to grow mushrooms. This is like 2001, 2002.
Nice.
He used to grow mushrooms, and then he would have the biggest salvia dijornum plant. Salvia, probably the size of a car wide, and about, if you tipped a car up on its side, that big. It was literally like 20 years old. His mom had it, and he took it with him to college, and it was like half of his backyard.
Is salvia a bush or is it?
Yeah, it was a bush. It looked like a tree, but the way he had pruned it, he was a trippy dude, man. He grew mushrooms in 2002. Like, how'd you scale?
I bet.
How'd you meet him again?
So the guys that I first met, they were the growers, and I was always like, man, their weed does not look like anybody else's weed. Okay. Once I figured that out, guys would come by my fraternity house. I kind of made myself in the group. Like I make myself like a part of the group very easily, because I make myself, what is it called, where you need someone in the group? Yeah. But my value is always strong in a group. So what ended up happening is when certain guys would come around, they'd be like, hey man, you got to get out. And I was like, get out of the room? And they're like, yeah, bro. And then I would see these guys, and there was only one or two guys ever, but I was always like, who is that then? Right. If I'm having to leave the room, and I know, and I mean, I'm paying the money for these guys' grow house. Right.
Yeah.
So these guys were in a bind, and my buy-in was, I'll take care of the bills. Now I'm a third.
Yeah.
Okay. Cause I was hustling and doing so when I had to leave the room, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? So I would make sure that we had a big front porch, that when that guy left, I was like, hey, what up, man? And he was like, what up? Like, what up? And I just let him leave. And then I would make, next time he came in, if I knew like, hey bro, you gotta leave, I would step out, and then I'd be there when he pulled in his car. I'd be like, what up, bro? And he'd be like, what up?
Hippie Mike?
Yeah, that was Hippie Mike.
And that real estate in his mind.
Same with Palmer. Same with my mentor.
Didn't he work in the?
So then we find out that he works at the Arboretum at UCF, at where I went to college. He was actually the guy who ran the Arboretum.
I bet.
And I was like, so the guy who runs the Arboretum. So let me really now let me spin your fucking head.
Fucking
right?
heady ass dude.
So I met this guy, and I was like, this guy's trippy, right? And he works at the Arboretum, and there's all kinds of sketchy shit. So one day we get a call, and it's like, hey man, it's Hippie, and the cops just dropped off like 10 lights, 10 hoods, 10 bulbs, brand new, that they had busted a grow, and they wanted to donate them back to the school. So we were like, fuck yeah, we'll come and get them right now. So we swooped over there and went and put those things right back in a grow house that night. set up more lights in a garage. So they probably were off the street for 24 hours, maybe. And they went right back into a grow house, and we traded him some bud. But you'd go in, there'd be snakes and fucking cockroach, all kinds of weird shit. And then there'd
That's
be
not God's will. I don't
bunch
know
of pounds sitting in the corner.
Straight up. That's some crazy shit. I didn't even know that story.
They took them down and
nuts.
set them back out the same day. That's God's will, bro.
Crazy.
That's right. God's plan.
He was like, come and get these. We're like, done deal, bro. And at that time, I mean, this is how different it was at that time. I knew homies who would climb poles on the highway and take the bulb out of the fixture because those were like, I think they were 600s at the time or 250s. And they would take the bulb out of that and try to use it on a bat. Like that's how different it was to get a light. You know, you're talking 2001, 2002, right when I got to college, first boom. Yeah, man. Bunch of growers who were
in
like
Florida too. So it's not like it's, you know,
a bunch of houses with no AC in the main room because we'd take the AC vents, pull them out of the main room and cut a hole and shove them in the other rooms, then run an extension wire into one of the rooms so that if we kept all the rooms similar, then we can control the whole house by one room. So we'd do that and we'd light up all the rooms. But this is the issue is that anytime you're hanging out there, what you had to do because you had to make it look like you live there or trimming was fucking horrendous. You're like dripping sweat, trimming bud, you know, and you're like, but also in Florida, like we can't just plug in a fucking AC guy. It's like, you can't. We were already at 800-900 at our 1,200 was the most you wanted a bill, you know? So it was just this weird playing of like, you know, what do we do here? The first couple of years of growing was so crazy for me, bro. I wish I would have been out here. I won't lie.
Yeah, I bet. I mean,
it was so different.
Yeah.
But you still got the robbers out here and you still got the cops. Less cops, but just as many robbers.
It's different. It's a different vibe coming in. We came, the first facility we stepped to in out here was in downtown. We started learning some lessons real
South Central
real quick.
And we immediately had some break-in attempts. We had a lot of turmoil, you know, and had to come over the top and realize like, yeah, we're in LA, bro. This is LA.
West Coast.
Los Angeles.
Everybody's professionals out here.
Yeah.
It's West Coast is different, man. We're like, yo, there's real gangs
it's
out
a
here.
crew.
There's real groups out here. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
You got and so that's honestly what pushed it too is like
Treebase is one of the first ones to had to let us know.
Yeah,
like,
that you're in LA.
This is the West Coast dog. This is the West Coast. This ain't the East Coast, man.
He likes to say
different out here.
He's like, this ain't Florida, bub. This ain't Florida.
Saying it, man.
But it's true, man.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we learned.
I wouldn't give it up for shit. I love it out here, bro. And it's dope to be able to link with people like you, bro, and people that would only be a dream from Florida. You know what I'm saying? To 100%. Be like, oh, this guy opened a weed brand. We'd love to talk to him about it. Yeah, we're in fucking Miami. You know, it's just, that's why we came out here.
But it's coming. It's coming.
It is.
It is.
Coming back.
Everything's coming online and shit.
Yeah.
You thinking about like, what's the brand for Squint or what's the plan for Squints? Like multi-state or what, how you want to roll it out?
It'll definitely be multi-state for sure. It's just rolling out the way it rolls out at the moment. We haven't been in a rush to market since the market became a market.
Straight up.
Get your footing.
Kind of like
we feel that. We feel the same way.
Some people had to. Some people did rush to market and just take it on full steam. And we just kind of just played our role and, you know, did our thing. And now it's becoming, I think it built right. And now we're rolling it out the way we are. And yeah, I definitely want to take it to other states though. I feel like Squints is a very good introduction brand to a market all over the place. You know what I mean? Obviously it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Man.
I like to say that we walk in the door with this and then we do what
straight up
from there.
See where it leads from there. I could definitely see it in Nevada, AZ,
anywhere,
Florida,
bro.
Florida for sure.
Just put in the thing of like, now. You get to like, not to say you have to, but if I find out that Squints, right, and as an icon of me is rolling out a can, yeah,
been growing,
and you get your story out through your podcast and through everything else, and people realize like, oh my God, dude, the guy I used to watch on TV like actually became a grower and really does this shit. It's fucking amazing.
It's definitely not just a brand.
No.
This is real fire with real different terp profiles. You brought real jars here and you actually grow. So it's fucking amazing ass story, bro. I'm surprised that led into that and just how you played it. It just seems like it ended up being a dope ass thing that, you know, you made it work. You made it happen. You ended up in LA and you fucking became LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly wasn't going to run with Squints as a brand at all, but it kind of like made itself more than anything. Like I never tried to like actively
straight up.
At some point somebody was like, you need to make some packaging, homie, because like this is different. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where that kind of came from. But the weed thing was always going to be a part of my life because it is my life more so than anything else. You know what I mean?
How do you? What's your style of growing?
Rockwool. What
hydro?
You know,
my favorite.
Nice. Yeah. All right,
my favorite. It's like a lab, you know. And in my opinion, you get cleaner burning weed. You know,
I think so.
It's easier to get. It's easier to get cleaner burning weed.
Yeah, but Rockwool is God, and they're all coming around to it.
It's the shit.
I feel that.
I love it. We ran 130 lights in soil, hand watered, and then I got my spots now and that are all Rockwool, and I'll to this day go back and forth. They both burn white.
You hand water in those bad boys?
No, we're done with that nonsense. No more hand water, and I quit that shit. That was
bro.
Someone put a big paycheck up and was like,
I'm left-handed and
it don't work like that.
I had like a permanent
your neck's
watering.
Yeah, straight up.
Watering with one hand, bro. Watering Rockwool every day.
God, these owners.
What are you doing now for irrigation?
Metafilm.
Best system out.
It's you got to keep them wet, and it can be troublesome.
It's the best way to dial, man, because that's like the thing is like with his system.
It's effective.
Exactly.
It's the best way to feed a cube. I feel like
he can do per milliliter with the Netafim. He's able to literally get every single plant the same amount of water, which is like, you can't even do that hand watering, bro. I promise you can't, you know?
Yeah. It's too many variables, especially at the scale now.
Exactly.
You can't like with hand watering, you're drenching something and then letting it dry out. So you have go up
spikes and
saturation. And then it's just a slow dry back all the way down until it gets fed again. But I can manipulate what and when it's getting the dry back, what and when, how long it's getting a dry back, or, how I'm saturating it during the day and kind of change that. And that's what, timers and sophisticated irrigation is, it is, you get it wet and then you can fuck with it. It always is a prime state of growth, hopefully. Or the system clogs and you lose a row.
Straight up.
Yeah,
it's a less forgiving medium.
I always tell people your 8 hours is still there. It's just different.
I'm mad that like it's hard to adopt things in this business sometimes because you're creatures of habit and it's costly. It costs to learn. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
I do know what you're saying.
I know now that I have to adopt automation in these things because you can't scale it without it. But it's also like it's always a fear that, maybe we were doing something right before and now we've gone somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes you're afraid you're taking 2 steps back, and even though you think you're moving forward,
I mean, in some ways, like flour used to be better. So, I mean, where are we at now?
That is debatable.
I understand scale, but like flour used to be better out of a 20 liter than a 20 liter is pulling now. And why is that? Like maybe this, maybe a single-ended Hortilux bulb produces the most fire fucking cannabis you're ever going to have. And it does. I'm going to be honest with you. The terp profile and what it does is going to be completely different. They're also an inferior piece of machinery. They blow up, they get hot, they fucking, it doesn't run or operate the same way either.
5 years and LEDs will beat out any light available because we'll have LEDs.
LEDs crush.
They just don't put out. We've done podcasts on this previous where we talk about the structure of the flower. And I think still double-ended puts out, just like you said, I agree with you. Homegrown look, that airier look, but that just structure is better because like the flower I grow is all LED right now.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it as much as double-ended or a Gavita would. And there was a time where I had the same strains being grown at 2 different locations, one all LED, one double-ended Gavitas. And I would have people buying the double-ended and saying this was your best batch. They didn't know it wasn't batch, that it was 2 different grows. They would say, oh, this batch, I like this. And they didn't know, like, yeah, it's a different room. That's not my LED room. Yeah. So I was, and to say like, oh, well, they're used to it. Yeah. But I also felt like it was better. And I think what we're missing red spectrum, and we're missing a few things in the spectrum of LEDs that I think they're fixing in the next year or 2, or we'll be right there.
It might need a little heat too.
Yeah. I mean, dude, definitely. And the first company to the finish line is going to make $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? If you have the first LED where you're like, look at the flower, and all the growers know what's really doing. I mean, I run Growers Choice and they're the closest LED I've come to quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're amazing. Grower's Choice are the best. I used Fluence. I used Gavita. I've used, I think it was about 4 different companies, LEDs. And my mentor who lives in Colorado has a 4-light setup, same strain, 4 different LEDs, and he switches out the shittiest one every run. So he's gone 4 runs now, and the Grower's Choice, and there's one other company out of Colorado that tie every time right now for the best quality. But we have the same conversation about, he doesn't agree, but I will still take Gavita double-ended light over the look because it has a homegrown look that you can't beat. Elephant's Growth, one of the most sought after growers in LA. You can tell just by the structure, you know?
Yeah, that homegrown look. I like that shit too. Small batch. Everybody's starting to talk about small batch now.
Yeah.
That's becoming a thing and shit.
What is it? Yeah.
When you're doing your rooms and stuff, how many lights you like to do per room? You like to keep it smaller or?
I have 20 light rooms, 25 light rooms, 50 light rooms.
Best size.
What do you think of the 25 to the 50?
It's a big space, bro. It gets
hard to control.
It gets harder to make those rooms crush because it's harder to control. I mean, it's different.
Hot spots, cold spots, air control.
Getting the airflow proper, and it's a lot of plant, bro. There's a lot of plant in there to like really deal with on a daily basis. I like 20 light rectangles is like what I like, and I like it for a certain reason because I can design it properly to crush. Dial it in. Setup, yeah, and it's
get that
easy
Wendy
because
you're
dealing with 2 ACs only, and it's really easy to kind of like to get the airflow perfect.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
And to scale it, you know. But I mean, it's all workforce. It's what you have at your disposal. I mean, if you got enough guys to prune, 90 light rooms in a day, like some of these cats, and crush like that, then by all means,
I almost got hired onto a grow that was doing 120 light room perpetual harvest. So every 2 rows was going to get harvested 2 weeks separate.
Yeah, that was a bad
And I was
idea.
like, this sounds horrendous. Yeah. It's just whenever your risk versus reward, when your risk is so high that it's like, if this happens, we lose everything. If that's the risk, then it's like, man, maybe we should rethink our strategy. You know what I'm saying? When it's like, if this happens, everything's done. If PM starts on one of these plants, everything in this whole 120 light room, 180 light room is done. I had brought out experts to try to convince them that, like, I think you should
People
rethink
are creatures
this.
of habit. They're thinking about money instead of like the fact that you got like 10 microclimates and none of them are right at the time.
Yeah. And different strains and different this.
That's too many. That's just too many variables to like put into one thing and know that that's like, all right, when people started to scale these things, and like there were some people in the desert that put out big spots. And I'll just tell you like a story of when Green Dragon started going around and touring some of these places. And it was obviously apparent when they walked into them that they had never done this before. They do things that are goofy that if you actually operate these things, you won't do because you know that you got to work or you need this space because you've done it before.
They're talking
it's
unrealistic.
Shit that you won't scale and do. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of that going along. I mean, people were trying to run big ass ACs and they figured out that probably wasn't the best idea either. But that comes from, running houses or running small warehouses where that, yo, bro, I put a 10-ton in sometime and that motherfucker went down on 2 rooms and I couldn't get anybody to fucking fix it or come work on it or do anything. And then we just started hanging 5 tons forever after that, right?
And they're like, damn, it works.
Yeah,
It is crazy like that.
Yeah. And some people you can't tell shit, bro. This business is still full of people that you can't tell shit. I mean, I got dudes that actually grow weed and that come with like hit me with goofy shit all day long, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've been doing this for years, bro. Like I've known you and like respected you for years, and you're still coming up with like goofy shit that like I'm just like it doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I mean? The mind is it's cool. I appreciate all of it, but yeah, the perpetual harvest thing, that's always
crazy.
That's always tough. If you can master that shit, God bless you. I don't want to.
Some Colorado shit. They had a grower kind of tell them that like that you can do this. This is how you should do it, and that he had success with it.
I mean,
but like, holy hell,
at your fucking garage, bro. But like,
or just at one grow that you somehow made it work, but like it's not the way to do it. Yeah. I agree, man. And like It's just crazy, bro. Really crazy.
Little boxes make fire weed, homie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
There you go.
Up,
That's
straight up.
I mean, write that down, people.
Yeah.
Little boxes make fire.
Little
weed.
boxes make
Little
fire.
rectangle rooms.
All these little fucking bedrooms and fucking garages and all these little things, they cranked out fire. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
You're here because there was dudes crushing bedrooms that made this thing a reality.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I mean,
now Jeff Bezos is fucking petitioning the government to pass a fucking federal law for it. And if he wants it done, it's going to get done 100%.
Yeah.
I can guarantee
crazy.
that.
Richer than the government. That's what happens.
I mean, at what point do you realize, I mean, hey.
Straight up.
At what point do you realize that like there is some things that transcend like the United States of America at this point? And there's technologies that
big
transcend.
Corp, big tip.
Money always transcends everything.
Yeah.
But like we understand that there's some players in the game like floating around in all types of different industries that like they want some shit to happen. It's gonna happen.
What do you think it's gonna look like when federal legalization rolls out?
I mean, I love fantasizing about like I wish it would happen faster because I really want to see what's gonna happen with interstate trafficking.
Yeah,
exactly.
It excites me knowing that like positioning yourself in certain places can be very key in like the grand scheme of the business.
Yeah.
Branding too for like what you got going on. Man.
I mean, that's easy. Like I said, we walk in with that. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm interested in seeing like why being in Oklahoma or Idaho or this place or that place is like, there's going to be sweet spots and there's going to be places that overtake California for obvious reasons. One, tax benefit. Two, because maybe, you know, it's a little dry and a little hot here. Maybe there's some other little climate that's going to make, you know, I think New York City is going to grow some fire ass fucking weed out of all them big ass industrial, big power, nice water buildings. Look, hey, New York's got the best water in the world, right? It's rated as having the best tap water anywhere.
True.
Anywhere on the planet of drinking straight out of the faucet, right?
Very true.
That's what they say about it. That's
Absolutely.
why the pizza's better. That's why the bagels are better. It's because of the water.
That's
So
interesting.
Who's to say that the weed ain't going to be better?
Damn, I didn't think that's real interesting.
Think about that either. And the climate can stay way cooler.
My boy Bear, he runs a Golden State. He went by Golden State Bear. He grows the most fire weed on earth. I'll let everybody know right now that Bear's got the shit. Everybody knows it already.
Hell yeah.
I'm just letting people know that Bear got the most fire weed.
And that's Golden State Growers or someone different?
Golden State is their company.
Okay. Shout out Golden State Bear.
He owns the Harvest Company, a big hydro store up there too.
Dope.
Anyway, he grows fire weed, but he told me one day their brand is based around Shasta because he's from Redding and it's based around Lake Shasta. And he's like, that's Shasta runoff, bro. And once you've been to Shasta, once you've been there and sat and seen Bear's waterfall that he like made his brand after and you experience it while smoking that fire and you see, okay, the water is just better over here.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, the terroir.
They're going through it right now with the water and shit out in Shasta. And shout out to them. I mean, they're going through it too now with this big ass fire that's happening right now.
Is there a fire in Shasta right now?
Yeah, it's bad.
Shit.
Acres and
literally
acres.
as we talk. Yeah, it's been on the.
They made it illegal for like water trucks.
No fireworks either for 4th of July. They're like big on. They're coming out crazy about that, saying like, please don't set off. Like all fireworks are illegal, and even sparklers. Like do not do it.
Going through it with the drought for sure.
I mean,
and they want to blame it on weed, but be honest, there's other industries that use even more water. So it's weird that it's just, you know, who's ever on the chopping block.
It's the food industry, the agriculture.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to keep taking the money. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. Ain't that the truth, bro?
100%.
And that's what kills me is like,
because almonds aren't producing that much tax money. I'm just going to be honest.
Straight up.
And that, yeah.
The Wonderful Company. I saw that there was like a special on that shit.
Yes.
Where they got lucky and got like granted,
that was on Netflix, right?
Yeah. Like granted the rights to all this fucking water somehow. That should have been
you knew somehow they explained it.
Yeah.
Money. They lobbied with some money with the right people. And then they were like, oh, you can get all this water basically at cost. And they were like, oh, sounds good. You know, and that was it. Now they have one of the largest almond companies in the world, or the largest. But it's real. Money makes it talk. And that's honestly why we left Florida and came out here. Because even though it's very hard to get in the industry as like a small time person, one of us that doesn't have a bunch of financing, you're still better off out here trying to do it. You know, in my opinion.
Yeah, because if you can make it out here, then it's something.
You can make
if you make it back there, it's you're not going to be a name.
Florida, really. It's like 50 to 100 million for a license. So you'll never. I mean, literally, I think the cheapest one's like 30 or 40 million.
Yeah, they're capped.
Crazy.
They have unlimited space. So
but it's crazy to think.
So it's different.
Once the federal,
it's not where you build a brand from. But I'm going to be honest, just so everybody knows that's listening, and I'm sure you guys have, you know, dudes that are trying to get into the game or listeners that are along those lines.
Dream about it.
Guest and who you guys are. But you can build a brand out of a house. So, and most of these brands were built out of houses. So
I know a couple growers that have great brands that are still out of houses.
Of course, bro.
You're right.
I think that, like I said, small boxes make fire. Go back to that and try to have a place, you know?
It's like a lot of these bigger growers, you get frustrated because like the small growers will have like one strain they grow or two, and they'll have like, you know, a 20 light grower, 10 light grow at their house, perfecting this strain. And you got like the guys that have, you know, 600 lights and they're getting held to the same standard. And it's just funny because, you know, there's some talk. And that's why you always have to big up the Jungle Boys and people like that, because to see that scale, I always zoom in on the photos and I'll be like, what AC is that? And I'm like, that's new. They just added that, you know, and because I knew they wouldn't do anything without researching or knowing it's better. So anytime I see a new picture, I'll zoom. I'm like, oh, look at this. This is the new AC they're using. It's for like refrigerator boxes. I hit my mentor with a picture and I'm like, dude, you ever heard of these? You know, and it's like, they know that and everyone does that, but that's what you get when you're the leader, like one of the leaders of the industry, is that, you know, even other big brands will reach and be like, dude, you guys they're crushing it, you know, and they do their research and they build out crazy facilities, man. I've heard crazy stories about how badass the guys are like that are behind it, where they can like basically draw out a grow room, a facility on a napkin and basically be like, just like this on a napkin. I'm like, man, it's, you know, as a grower, it's just the ultimate look up to, you know, is some guys like that where you're just like, these guys been doing it since I was in middle school.
Yeah, I'm still awestruck. And
they're out there doing it in Florida right now. If you watch them on the story and shit, you see them day to day, just
super cool.
It out.
And they're actually going to be growing.
Dialed.
They're growing it.
No, they're going to surprise some people. I hear people in Florida and shit talking shit like, oh, corporate this, corporate that. Listen, regardless, any Cali weed in Florida is going to be better than what you have access to now. Straight the fuck up. I don't care what it tastes like at this point.
You're right.
The stuff that's in these stores and shit,
trash.
You're getting robbed.
Nah, Florida's
but they're going to shut people up when they come. I really got a feeling.
And think about the amount of attention you put on a new project.
Oh yeah, they can't.
That can't be. I mean, come on, they're coming strong.
At the end of the day, Cali weed is number one. I think is always going to be the best weed. So
Jungle Boys and Cookies are going to crush Florida.
Because wouldn't you say
they have no idea what's about to happen? Their life's going to get way better.
The talent pool out here. This is the all-star team.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Seen that shit at scale yet?
Yeah,
they're gonna get like whopped over the head with some shit. What the fuck?
Some fire, some real flavors, and some real names and shit.
And I think they're gonna go with some different branding.
How about some guys that can just put consistent weed on the shelf and like really
straight up?
Florida's yet to see
the hardest part.
Some real strains. Actually put weed on the shelf that's good and like a bunch of it and you know keep it on the shelf. You know,
I see the pictures coming from some of the facilities in Florida and they're scary. At least there'll be a lot of transparency.
It's going to change the game over there indefinitely.
Well, Florida tried. They gave it all 100%. To like the greenhouse and the local guys there, and that shit didn't work. They didn't have no weed on the shelf. So
it's what happens.
I think I feel like that's some people are like, oh, are people going to still smoke Cali weed or think Cali weed or think anything about Cali? But to be honest, like these other states are going to need Cali to get online. Each 100%. And every one of them are going to need Cali and Cali brands and Cali genetics and Cali herb to get online. Straight up. There's no way around it because who's coming to Oklahoma for Oklahoma herb?
This is why the black market still exists.
You know, or Blue Dream or any of these other strains, right?
And when it boils down, you find out that they're from Cali anyway.
You come to Oklahoma, I guarantee you they're going to the cookie shop. You know, it's just, or wherever, wherever they know about, right?
At the end of the day, hard work still wins in this business. So
there's little growers killing it.
There will be dudes from everywhere that really crush.
Absolutely.
And
I
outdo
agree.
us from California. And like I said, that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about when the business really does go places. Like dudes that come at it a different way than we do, or think about it in a different light or in a different place that, we might get. Cali ain't going to be the last one. It's not going to be the last Humboldt County Reserve. Like you're not going to get those things. Like, there's going to be some place in Oklahoma that's just known for
Michigan,
but having that fire, or some Michigan brand that you're like, damn, that shit has market share now because they really put out good
most expensive grows I've ever seen in my life. Not even close. Like stuff where there's like when you do the floors and they have like, they're like branded to the brand epoxied floors for the whole warehouse. I mean, crazy shit. Michigan.
I mean, back east has better shells than us. LA's really like one of the worst places to run indoor. You know what I mean? We have shitty buildings. It's hard to build in California.
Shitty buildings. Yeah.
Shitty houses, shitty buildings.
Until weed came along, nobody put money into the city of LA to build shit, bro. I don't know if you noticed, but there's cranes everywhere now. And this is why.
Yeah.
It never happened before. They didn't do it.
The whole fucking country needs to hear that. It's like,
I mean,
let's get it together,
we got a
man.
$5 million stadium
holy
sitting
shit.
down the street in Inglewood for a reason.
Yeah,
That
for
shit,
real.
nobody would build a fucking LA was no man's land, bro. You didn't build shit here. But we still have all the same buildings from the 60s and the 50s and the 40s.
Yeah.
And now
I guess that's why it's got that feel too.
yeah,
out
it's all
here.
the same shit.
It's different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
not just like a bunch of
70s.
it's not just a bunch of new modern looking buildings and shit. It's like there's a lot of character out here.
Especially up on the hill, a lot of those houses, a lot of different ones.
Yeah, but you go to Jersey, outside of New York, and the boroughs and shit, bro. They got fucking crazy ass brick buildings with freight elevators and just
Yeah,
that
you're
place
right.
is gonna
You just
crack,
blow the whole
dog.
floor
I'm
up.
talking power that we couldn't even think of, bro.
Yeah.
And more water than you could ever see. It's just
And you know what's crazy to think about too is like all the people that migrated to come to Cali that to think they might go back to what, like if they came from Jersey or New York, they'll go back there, go back home and like
shit.
be killing it, that have been out here for 10, 20 years.
There's gonna
Yeah.
be dudes from LA that decide to move, that decide to do it elsewhere. They get offers to go build a brand somewhere, and that's what happens.
I know some guys that went to Washington right when the
100%.
Washington hit off. And then, I mean, you see these guys, Snacks Land in Colorado, they're crushing it. And the strains they get, I would venture to say someone in that cruise out here is real close
Yeah.
out here, from out here, something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The best companies in other states that are crushing are all like have a hand in Cali, whether it's the strains or the vibe or, yeah, man. They just need to open it up, man. Cali needs to open it up. Let's see some lounges. Let's see more grows come online. Let's
Mix it
see
with
some more
entertainment.
dispensaries. Yeah, let's see.
Just stop trying to strangle it to death, bro.
There you go. I love that.
I know they're
Stop
getting
strangling it to
serious
death.
checks off of it. So
I mean, they would get more if they stopped.
that's what I'm saying.
100%.
10 times more. I mean, if they would open it up and not say open it up to where it's bad, just let other people get involved. Like, I mean, they still haven't done anything other than social equity license. That's still, I mean, come on, bro. What is going on? You know, but they sit on their hands and they do the same old shit and they collect their taxes. And now the lady's stepping down because she got accused of embezzling money.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Crazy, right? The lady who the head of the cannabis control, you know, of LA.
Of DCR?
I think that's what it is. I have to before I spit a bunch of facts, but yeah, I just saw an announcement. I mean, open it up. It kills me because like with lounges, we went for a Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl's on and me and him are like, we're not really big into sports as much. Let's go to like the Cannabis Cafe and they'll have it on the background and we can kind of get out of the house instead of sitting and watching the Super Bowl. We go, sorry, we don't have any TVs at the Cannabis Lounge.
Yeah,
I was like, well, oh, okay. So is there is there an event? Are you guys like having an event? Like,
Nah.
it's like, no, just
Sit
another
there by
day here.
candlelight.
I was like, man, you guys, you really bank on the fact that no matter,
You're not
you don't
their-
have to do shit and
You weren't
people will
their
come.
demographic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely not.
That was they built that
Crazy.
place over like weed tourism from like out of here. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
their model of what they think. Like they've never been in a room with a bunch of stoners that dab out all day and shit. They definitely would have had a TV, maybe some video games, some snacks.
Oh man, do some different colored joint papers or something. Which
Yeah.
team do you want to go for? I mean, let's
100%.
have some
There's a
fun
million ways.
shit.
Well, you know,
That's where we need to go with this.
you're an
though.
entrepreneur and they're just trying to own a business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I got a feeling Vegas is gonna get with it.
Man.
Maybe not the strip and the casinos, but
No, they'll
on
get
the
with it.
outskirts, like they'll let it lounges.
I'm really excited about when it becomes more of like a cigar lounge type of vibe.
That's what I'm
where
looking
you have
forward
like
to.
these membership based
Member
places where
clubs,
people like that type of shit. Like
That would be amazing.
Members
that'll be
only
really
clubs.
cool. And even if it's not like, obviously there'll be some sales on site, but like maybe even if it's just not like a shop vibe like that, but more of like a membership
Yeah.
club where people come and kind of like, that's really the culture. That's what.
Nah, that's
we
what it
all-
is. You keep your stuff in a locker and stuff. You got your piece or whatever, your papers,
Dude.
your
What's the
grinder, all that.
difference?
That way you
And
don't got to
it's
travel
way
with it.
more
I
heady
love
You
market
swing
than-
in, do
than
your
tobacco
shit.
is, you know what I mean? So many different movable parts. Like, I mean, you know, the average cannabis consumer consumes much more money worth of cannabis than the average any type of other user outside of like obviously somebody with a serious drug problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can smoke $100 worth of weed a day and still run a business or a few of them or have a family or go to work every day and come
Absolutely.
home. I mean,
Alcohol, forget about it.
yeah, that-
$100
that ain't
with
the
alcohol,
one.
you drink a
Ooh.
bottle and a half a day.
Ooh.
I mean,
Or, you know.
some dudes can get by on an 8-ball a day, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it's a slippery slope going in the
Yeah.
wrong direction eventually. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
And
You're definitely gonna hear some Bob Saget jokes.
This plant makes you kinder. Something about it makes you kinder. It really makes you think of other people's scenarios. Like when I smoke, a lot of times I put myself in other people. Yeah, 100%. Very much introspective. Step outside of yourself and you can look at things. Which is what a lot of people need to do a lot more often, is put themselves outside of themselves and think about other people and how people perceive things.
Yeah, let's get real deep.
No, it's true though. But versus alcohol, where immediately you go, numb. Yeah.
Blackout.
And that's what's dope. In that other states, I mean, day by day, bro, it's every other state's like legalizing or something's coming online, another project.
I love it. I asked people, like when we were doing the Sandlot tour and stuff, and I would go to all these different states, and that was a couple of years ago now. So legalization was really fresh and new. But I talked to like, a lot of times cops pick us up and they take us from the airport or wherever. Sometimes we'll be in smaller towns, and so I'll ask them about it and just like pick people's brains, or I mention it, or I tell people I'm in the cannabis business just to like get their vibes. I mean, they didn't understand it at the point, but just to feel how they would feel and what was going on in their minds. And like, I ask people from other places, like as it becomes in the paper and, trickles its way down to become a thing. But it's cool that like it's getting more receptive to it.
When you tell people that it's 50-50, how do they usually receive it?
Everybody, I think I get like 90% of the time. It's really good. Not everybody's cup of tea, so to speak, but I think it's a pretty like, people are pretty hip with it,
It's funny because when I used to go back home to visit my parents, it would be like that. They wouldn't want me to tell people what I really do for a living.
I get it.
Now it's became a thing where they're like, do you know what my son does? Yeah. He grows marijuana, like legally grow. And then it's literally become I'll end up stealing this show. And so sometimes I go into where I'm like, let's not talk about, let's not talk about because it becomes me getting 1,000 questions about my life and the thing, which is cool. But it's like, it's this little girl's birthday party and her dad wants to know, and we end up, we're an hour and a half deep on growing weed and, but it's an interesting how it's changed, right? My parents used to be like, oh God, I just hope you're safe, to like, wow, that's happening.
They were taught a different way. And it was a very, we grew up thinking that like, you went to prison for it. Two, you went to prison for it. 3, if
drug
you went to school and
addicts
talked about your dad fucking growing his own tobacco or some, dad was probably going to jail. You know what I mean? I had a homeboy who went to school and was like, yeah, my dad, he grows his own tobacco and rolls his own cigarettes.
Oh,
homie caught a case.
No way.
From his kid.
Yeah, and actually,
because DCF is coming by or whatever.
Oh, yeah, for sure, bro.
Like, damn,
I got picked up for that.
Damn.
I raised a snitch.
Stop. It's his
accidental snitch. Those are the worst.
That's his dad's fault because he told his fucking son that that was a tobacco plant and that he rolled nicotine and he smoked it. And the kid went to fucking school and did what kids do.
Thought that was all right. Yeah.
Thought that was okay to talk about. And it wasn't. Had he been honest with them, that wouldn't happen.
That's tough, man. I remember those days.
Kid, yo, if you tell anybody about this shit, dad ain't going to be here anymore.
Yeah, God, scare the shit out of him.
Fucking traumatize this little kid.
I mean, unless he wants you gone, and then you're just fucked.
Oh shit! He gets mad at you one day. He's like, "All right, I'm ready. Now I'm ready for my dad to not be here anymore."
Yeah. Or he's like, "Dad, I want that gift. I want that toy, or I'm gonna go ahead and tell it, and you'll be gone." I mean,
we come from a time where this shit was like super frowned upon, and even if it wasn't like super like, you're going to go to jail for it, it was still looked down upon like you're fucking burnout or
you're a fuck up
or this and that.
What are you doing?
If you smoked in high school where I went to high school, like you were definitely a fuck up. Like even I was in that box where I tried it in 8th grade and then I stopped and didn't really do it again until about 11th grade, 12th grade. But I would look at my friends and be like, damn, man, you're fucking up. Because they would show up to school high as hell. And I'd be like, oh, man. I'd be like, kind of scooting away from them and shit, like looking around. Like they would make me paranoid. I'm like, I'm not trying to get, you're fucking up, man. But some of them would still get straight A's and shit. And that's when I started realizing and noticing and being more open and doing it. Because I met a few of one of my homies, he's a lawyer now, and he would smoke every day since 7th, 8th grade before school and get straight A's on all his tests and
some really
went on to pass the bar and he's now at practice. So, and he still smokes to this day, you know what I mean? So it's just that kind of showed me like, oh, fuck, you can still handle your business on cannabis. So
it enhances.
That got me open to it and I fucked with it.
It'll enhance your laziness or it'll enhance your, your headiness or whatever. But it enhances.
It's an enhancer.
That's interesting, man. Yeah. I never smoked when I was young, but my friends did. And what would happen is we'd be going to like parties. They'd be like, yo, hop in. And my buddy had like a Dodge Durango or something. And I'd hop in and they had this already planned. And they'd hop in on the sides and lock the doors and then light up like 2 blunts and hotbox it. And I'd be like, I mean, straight, you couldn't see, you know, and they'd be just laughing the whole time. Like, this is hilarious. And I'm like, and I'd go to like open the window. They're like, nope. And I can see they're dying too, but they don't care. They're just doing it to make sure I die. Right. That I'm like, we'll live like, and I'm like, you want the window open a little bit. And they're like, nope. And they, and I used to deal with that all the time.
I fucking hate hotboxing. Can't do that.
I don't want to get.
We grew up doing that.
Nah,
I'm cool.
But then you come out stinking so crazy.
The year before last, I went to Ego Clash, and they do Ego Clash on this property, and he gives out the awards at the end of this fucking tunnel that everybody smokes in, right? And when it's a tunnel, it's a fucking like a cement tunnel that they fucking blow air into because you're so deep in it that like, they need to blow oxygen into it. I damn near had a panic attack. Like, it was hard for me to walk to the back of the tunnel because so many people were smoking.
Yeah.
And it was like, creepy, humble, like Mendocino vibes and shit,
Yeah, trippy.
No, if you've never been, that was
like, I need some fresh air.
It was my first time to Mendocino. And like at Ego Clash, and like Brandon's giving me the tour of like the whole lineage of it and shit. Like, it was dope, but it was still like
a lot.
It's intense, bro. Yeah. The hill's intense.
My boy, I think one of my buddies won that 2 strains. He won the Ego Clash one of the 2 years.
2 strains, 707.
Yeah, shout out that boy, man. Shout out 2 strains.
He's a character.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I've seen that and I've always wanted to go there, but it's such a little heady invite and it's all, hash boys with a OI, boy. It's all them type of dudes. Yeah. It sounds dope though.
Yeah. I just got lucky.
Yeah. That's super fresh.
I know a cat that knows the man and ended up there, and now we're friends, and it's, feel blessed.
Did you drive up there? Or you
We were coming from Vegas. So we were coming from the Vegas convention because it's right before Ego Clash and Emerald Cup. And we were coming from the convention. That was a crazy. So I showed up to Ego Clash. We partied all weekend in Vegas.
Damn.
And then we flew to Oakland and rented a car and drove to Mendocino. So it was all in like one night. And it was like a weekend trip of like debauchery in Vegas at the fucking cannabis convention to like fucking straight up Mendocino like culture. And
getting
like,
lit.
Going to Emerald Cup is one thing. Like having all that happen and then going to Ego Clash is some whole other shit. Like Ego Clash is a trip, bro. That's like, I mean, look, we're weed culture in Southern California, but not like that.
Mm-hmm. That is like,
Mendo's. Describe the difference for the listeners. Like, so Mendocino County is Northern California.
Yeah, everything about
the Emerald Triangle.
First of all, it's hard living out there, bro. So you know what I mean? It ain't like
it's farmers.
Yeah, you're in the hills, like isolated and shit. Crazy. So you have to like really want to be a part of that. But like they sell trim scissors at the locals
gas stations and shit. Yeah.
Shit there. So you know what time it is already where you're at. You know what I mean? Like if that's a necessity, trim scissors or turkey bags and shit when you're in like some pass through little weird ass. That's all there is. There's nothing else. Straight you know what I mean? They invented all of this shit. Everything we're doing right now has kind of been up in those hills for the last 40 years. And
it's like perfect for fucking growing and hiding out up there. It's pretty trippy.
I mean, ain't nobody coming.
And the weather.
Yeah, and the weather.
It's cool. I mean,
the weather's most perfect in the whole country.
I like that you can drive and roll down your windows and smell weed.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Like you're literally we were up there the first time. We had a van and we rolled the windows down and we're driving. It's just beautiful, beautiful day. And we come around a corner and it's not like we roll. You just start, you're like, ooh, wow, smell that. And then you come around another corner and it's another smell. Then you come around and you're like, and then you come around one corner and you're like, ooh, dude, that guy's growing fire. You could smell it from literally, you could almost see it from the road, but far enough where you couldn't kind of sometimes and still smell it. And I got such a kick out of it when we were first time up in Mendo, driving through all those windy ass hills and just literally different smells as you would go another half a mile. You'd be like, and then you get one or two that are just different than anyone else's smell. And you're like, oh shit, that's the guy right there.
Here's a good analogy of like, so my girl hasn't been around the industry very long, just since she's met me, and kind of like I'm all so involved in it that she's obviously been a part of her life now. And she's been on trips with me to Mendo and like all these places and met these people and met a lot of people that are in the industry down here and are very successful. And her analogy for the difference between like the LA scene and Mendocino and who she's met like up on the hill and the places that I've took her to and that type of shit is that like the Trinity, that shit's big dick energy, like for real, like on a whole nother level. And like LA like kind of puts off like that shit because, you know, that's outlaw country, bro. That shit is real hard living. Like you get killed on the road. You know, I mean, you know,
running greenhouses is a lot different.
Raptor.
Yeah.
F-250. Believe motherfuckers with ARs and guns and this shit is.
Yep.
They're living
big dick energy.
They're
living on
it.
fucking farms and properties and like not on this valley, like this whole fucking valley, like from that mountain to there.
I think a lot of it has to do where you grew up.
Reservoirs of water and like different shit. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's a little bit different, like up.
Yeah, when you go up the Emerald Cup, you're like, man, it's a lot of outdoor growers out here.
Overalls and shit. Yeah.
This is
Well,
different.
I think too, it's a lot where you grew up. Like we kind of grew up more city style. So I'm used to growing in houses and warehouses and things like, you know what I'm saying? Like that vibe is where like, I feel like if you grew up more country, then that's like, oh yeah, well, this is where I would grow then too. So I think that's also part of it is also like, where'd you come up? Did you come up in a city or more of like a rural spot? Cause like my mentor, I could easily see like he's moving further and further up into Colorado mountains for cultivation. And it's like, well, yeah, he grew up in Ocala on a horse farm. So that's like, he's just going back to what he knows, where me moving 30 minutes outside of LA was like, oh, okay, this is about as far as I want to go. You know what I'm saying? Like anything more rural, you're like, yeah, this is different than how I grew up, you know? So it's interesting though, because I'll give it up to some of the dudes that run warehouses. I'll see they got guns too. It's just a whole different vibe.
They're dealing with fucking
cops and robbers, man. Robbers mainly.
Types of shit.
A lot of gangs and stuff in LA breaking into spots and then they'll sell off the job. So one guy will hit the spot multiple times with different crews and shit. I just know that because of cameras and seeing things.
It's fucking crazy.
Like
Well, shit, man.
There's professionals in every business.
I know, right?
There is professionals in every business.
But the one dope thing is we're smoking fire, bro. And I'm so happy to see you with a bunch of flavors.
Straight up. And the fact that you're a grower, you grow and you're hands-on in this shit and like just your selections. I'm loving the rainbow chip cross, like
thanks, bro.
Everything. The Wendy was fucking fire. I see why that's the one for you.
See, I like her.
I like it a lot.
I think that like, you know,
that's something I could smoke all day, every day.
Hey, if I go back to it, then I know it's good.
That's when you know what I mean? You're like, let me roll another one of these up.
And when you smoke the whole eighth and 2-3 joints and you're like, oh shit, I smoked the whole thing already.
Yeah. That's when you know
that's what I'm honestly, man, that's what I'm seeing across the flavors. You know what you're doing.
It's different dope. Too. I like it. I'm fucking with it, man. So
thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you making time, man, stopping through, blessing us with episode 12, man.
Ooh, is that what it is?
Big one. Sir. Yeah, episode
awesome,
12.
Yeah.
Squints, man. If you don't know, I don't know, you're on fucking Mars, bro.
Don't know, you better get a jar. Quick.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Episode 12 wrapping up. First smoke of the day.
Pack Gods, Black Leaf, All White Ashes, Squints.
Right, peace.